Hey guys, so something not unexpected happened recently, and I would like to offer my condolences to the people who lost their lives and to their families. So if you're not aware, an appointee of the Minnesota government, appointed by Tim Walz himself, got a little bit crazy, which is not unusual for a leftist, but it appears, and I don't want to jump to any conclusions here, but it appears that the Speaker of the House for Minnesota's legislature supported a bill, or supported voting down a bill okay, I'm not 100% sure on what the circumstances are on why this guy did what he did, but the House legislature's majority leader, a Democrat, was voting against giving health care to illegal immigrants. And apparently she was super upset about it. She made this whole song and dance where she was crying in front of a camera. You know, real virtue signaling things. But apparently there was an appointee by Tim Walz who, I don't know if he got fired eventually or he was still appointed to whatever position that Tim Walz appointed him to. But he wasn't very, it appears he wasn't very happy with this decision, because despite this guy being a white dude, he was super into bringing immigrants over from Africa and helping African nations. And obviously he's been very upset that we're deporting people, including all of the military-aged males from Africa who are only here, to make money and send it back home, and not, provide any material support to America or become Americans. Well, apparently this dude decided that it's all the Democrats' fault that immigrants are suffering, and he decided to shoot as many as he possibly could, while wearing a full set of body armor, mind you. And he was also carrying flyers for the No Kings protest, which Democrats are so stupid. We all know that billionaires are funding these protests. We already have solid evidence that all these protests are being funded by the George Soros and the other billionaires in the world who just really don't like Trump. That they want their stock portfolio to go to the roof, and they want every globalist policy enacted and to control every corporation throughout the world. And it's not even a conspiracy. They just want to own all the stocks and own all the shares. Because when a guy has $1 billion, he owns so much company stock that he basically owns the most powerful organizations in the world. This is not even a conspiracy. This is just how capitalism works. And when it comes to the stock market, which is why I encourage people to invest in the stock market. Now, not financial advice, but you should at least have a little bit of control over, all the corporations that... it's just frustrating, man, because you get the vote in board meetings. I tried voting in Disney stock, and I tried to get them to stop being stupid, and when they refused to stop being stupid, I sold all my stock from them. Like the Nelson Peltz situation. It was their one and only opportunity. All Nelson Peltz was asking for was 2 seats on the board. He wasn't asking for any major change, just he wanted 2 seats to have some input. Oh God, I'm going on a total rant right now. I am just so angry. this is, okay. Let me slow down. There was a show that I watched as a kid, okay? And I really didn't like it. It was called Invader Zim. Now, there's a lot of people out there, probably a lot of my audience, that was like, how did you not like Invader Zim? Invader Zim was an awesome show. And yes, it was. I watched like a bunch of the action scenes, a bunch of the episodes were kind of funny. It was an enjoyable show. My problem with it growing up is I was always a pretty smart kid. I always did well in school. I was relatively mature despite my ADHD, running around all over the place, hyperactive, whatever. But one thing I didn't like about that show is how it depicted people. Because, like, everyone in that show, like, everyone is a complete and utter moron. Just every single person. Anyone who's not the main cast is just utterly stupid. Dumbest people in the world. Like, so dumb that Darwin would give them awards because they walk into situations where, like, no sane human would ever walk into. And I'm like, no, I even as a child, I couldn't accept that people were that dumb. There's no way in the world people were that stupid. And I've been just watching Democrats and leftists in general. And again, there are a lot of leftist policies that I support. There were Democrats that I, like, really had, like, I felt that they would represent me. Right? Like, I supported them. But listening to them now, just the absolute insanity. Like, people saying that Trump is putting immigrants in concentration camps. God, it is the stupidest things I have ever heard in my... They were defending criminal gang members engaging in human trafficking that have been designated as Yorkshire Terrier groups and trying to bring them back to the United States after they got deported to their country of origin. It's just a Maryland man. A Maryland man that happens to beat his wife and kids on a regular basis. I'm flabbergasted. Invader Zim was supposed to be satire. And I could not accept. Growing up, I didn't understand satire, okay? And so I took the show literally. I took the show that's like, it's depicting all these people as stupid. It thinks that, like, all of America is just complete and utter brain dead morons. And as a child, I just could not accept that as fact. Now that I'm older, I realize that half of America is just brain dead morons. It's not everyone on the left. There's a lot of people on the right too, who are completely and utterly just stupid. Completely stupid. Okay. Rant over. Just, my God. So Tim Walz is a dude, and he's a far leftist. He was celebrating Tesla stock crashing into the dirt, despite the fact that, like, 1% of his state's pension fund was invested in Tesla. And he appoints all the far left extremists into his government, and one of them loses his mind and starts shooting up every Democrat that he can find. And again, I'm not going to victim blame here. Like, apparently this House Majority Leader was relatively sane she was virtue signaling, trying to say that, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this to illegal immigrants, yada, yada, yada. But she voted against a policy that outright hurt Minnesotans. Like, she was trying to do right by her state. No, like, there's a lot of politicians out there that are corrupt, and probably every single one of them is, to one extent or another. But at least she was trying to do the right thing. And how is she rewarded? She's chased down by one of Tim Walz's friends, and in her house, gunned down with her husband. And 2 other people were also almost gunned down, and they're in critical condition. Now, if Tim Walz fired this guy because he realized this dude was absolutely off his rocker, cool. Why was this guy not institutionalized? Like, don't tell me there were no signs. No, I get upset once in a while. I get really mad. But for the love of God, you get a far less communist extremist, because I assume this guy has to be a communist of some sort or something. I can't imagine that this is just the norm for just regular Democrats nowadays. Like, this dude has to be like a Trotskyist or something. That we're ever going to know, because Facebook immediately tracked this dude down and deleted his Facebook profile. So we have no idea what this guy was thinking or what this guy was posting. Which I have. By the way, I get it. I completely understand. Completely. They don't want copycats. So they don't want people looking this guy up, like, looking at what he's been saying, like, and then deciding, you know what, maybe this guy had a point, and then, like, raising this guy up as some kind of martyr or something, or as some kind of hero. I understand. But when an organization like Facebook goes out of their way to immediately, off the bat, no questions asked, probably without even being asked to delete the guy's profile, Mark Zuckerberg, and like half of it, more than half, probably like 80% of his company is like far left Californian Democrats. Like, if you were to look at the party registration of Meta, guaranteed it's like 80% Democrat with like 10% independent. And they probably tracked this guy's profile down to delete it immediately, so not a single person could see like all the whack job pro-immigrant, like, anti-pharmaceutical company crap that's all over his profile, or whatever the hell. Now, apparently this dude was also pro-life, which, if you look into the background of PP, which if you know what I'm talking about a certain Margaret who formed a certain organization who basically wanted as many black people as possible to have abortions, because she wanted to destroy and completely downsize the black population. You know, there would be twice as many black people in the country right now if it wasn't for abortion. Like, if this was a mandatory thing, we would be calling it a genocide. Legitimately. They have been trying to make it impossible to survive on a single income. They used, and when I say they, I'm talking about Democrats in general, the racist wing of the party, the party that is the wing of the party that supposedly went to the Republicans. Total BS, by the way, because the Democrats still think that black people are too stupid to graduate high school without being given a handicap or getting to college. The racists in the Democrat Party never left. They just rebranded themselves. And I will never I will never buy into the propaganda that they moved to the Republicans. That never happened. It just did not. They just rebranded. Oh my God, I am still ranting so hard right now. I am so mad. Because I know what the media is going to do. They're going to say this guy was influenced by Trump, that Trump somehow inspired this, despite the fact that this dude, 100% Democrat, appointed by Democrats, mad at Democrats for not being progressive enough. Anyways, this guy was probably pro-life because he's not happy that freaking all of these abortion clinics are being put into black neighborhoods. He wants more black people around. He just really loves black people. And to be fair, there's a lot of black people that I like. I work with a lot of black people. Like, there's a few bad apples in Detroit that have ruined the entire city. But for the most part, most of the people just want to live their goddamn lives. Like, they don't want criminals stealing their packages off their porch. They don't want people like raiding every single pharmacy until there's no pharmacies left. They don't want crime occurring all over the place. But when your choice, when you vote for mayor, is a moderate Democrat or a hardcore leftist Democrat, they don't have a Republican option. You try to vote for a Republican in Detroit, they'll lose 85-15. Like, no joke. So they have to vote for a Democrat. They have no other options because they're not given another option. Republicans don't even bother to spend any money in Detroit anymore because they know that their candidate is going to lose in like an 80% landslide. So no one worth their salt runs as a Republican. They'll run as a moderate Democrat, even if they're like a MAGA dude. Not that they would ever get away from it. They would be doxxed for even having a single policy because people are so Trump deranged that if a single person ran as a Democrat because they knew that they would never win as a Republican, if they had a single MAGA policy, they would be doxxed, chased out of the city, and freaking their house burned to the ground. Like, I'm not even joking. It's barely an exaggeration at this point. These people are insane. And they're going to try to blame this on Trump, despite the fact that this was a Tim Walz appointee. I would like to remind people that if Tim Walz had won, if he was vice president right now, this shooter might have been in the White House as we speak. Oh my God. We don't deserve this. That House Majority Leader did not deserve that. I'm sure somebody can look her up and find like all these like shady things that she might have done or whatever. Maybe like, I don't know. But for the love of God, this is not okay. You should not have politicians being murdered in their own home. We should never have had multiple people try to blow away one of our presidents. And the fact that there are progressives right now openly advocating for this. It's like, no kings, we don't have kings, we should have a king. God damn it, Trump is like the most libertarian president we've had in decades. He's the most hands-off dude. He allowed Democrat governors to completely destroy their own states by locking down and destroying every small business that existed in their state. And like we told him, like, hey, maybe you can stop this. Maybe you can force the government to reopen so that our economy doesn't completely tank. And Trump's like, no, those are state issues. He allowed the states to do whatever the hell they wanted in regards to COVID. Like he was the most hands-off president that we've had. And he's only being hands-on now because he knows that if he doesn't frickin' like use executive orders, nothing would ever get done. Like his hand's literally being forced. He deported like 100,000 people, and he got like 12 court injunctions. Obama, Bush, Clinton, Biden, all deported millions upon millions upon millions of people. Each of them. Millions of people. And they never got an injunction. They're just putting injunctions on Trump because they're TDS deranged lunatics. And now we're having Democrats executed in their own homes by other Democrats. Because Democrats decriminalize, like, encourage crap like this. They decriminalized everything. You're just allowed to run around and set Teslas on fire. What the hell did they expect? Just... Just arrest these people. Just, if there's somebody who is threatening public officials online, just go arrest them, please, for the love of God. I'm like gonna have like an aneurysm, a stroke, and a heart attack. Like, honestly, I'm just so frustrated right now. It's lunacy. We should not have to live like this. We should not have to live fearing that some deranged progressive lunatic is going to kick down our door, disguised as a cop, by the way, and just start shooting up our entire families. We shouldn't have to live like this. It's insane. Democrats have to fix this. They're the ones who caused all this. They're the ones who decriminalized. They're the ones who, like, made it okay to steal $500 worth of stuff. They're the ones who released every single violent criminal that they found back onto the street. They're the ones who allowed criminals to get arrested 20 times to never appear for their court cases. They're the ones that allowed illegal immigrants to run rampant around our country. It's like, they had illegal immigrants pay like $20 billion in taxes every year, completely ignoring the fact that we pay them $100 billion every year just to be here, and that they're sending all the money that they earn out of country to their families back home, so it doesn't get recirculated into our economy, which means they're a net drain on our economy, just making this country worse. Because, again, and like, they're working illegally. Again, I have to stress this: poverty doesn't cause crime, crime causes poverty. Oh my God. Just for the love of God, Democrats, get sane people elected. Do not appoint a far-left progressive. Appoint moderate Democrats. People who are willing to work with Republicans now and again to actually make this country better. We don't need communists. We don't need socialism. Just any sane Democrat, for the love of God. I ask this, please. I am begging you. I would like 2 sane parties in this country. 2 of them. Not just 1. 2. For the love of Christ. Okay. I'm going in circles now. I'm going to leave it at this. Just, please, bring sanity back to the Democrat Party. Please. Oh my God. That's it for now, guys. Goodbye.